All right, good morning everyone and welcome to our extraordinary council meeting of the 25th of October. I'd just like to let the council McAllister is not in attendance here at the moment. She's trying to stream through, so he should join us during the journey. Let me say in the live streaming statement, Evans River Council wishes to advise members of the public that council meetings will be recorded and be available after each council meeting on council's website. All care will be taken to maintain the privacy of those in attendance. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given in the event of your image is broadcast. This includes any filming by television cameras if attendance is approved by the GM or the Mayor. Item 2, acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge that we're here today on the land of the Wamba people. I would also like to acknowledge and pay my respects to past Aboriginal elders, the present Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who reside within this area and their future generations. Statement of purpose. I have come here as a councillor freely and without bias to represent the views of the community in considering the matters before us today. To vote in a matter I consider to be in the best interest of the community and to observe the code of conduct and the respect of the rule of the chair and the views of my fellow councillors. We do have an apology from Councillor Mac Wallace. He's up in Wagga, detained up there. So someone like to move that moved by Councillor McCready, seconded by Councillor Poverty. All those in favour? All those against carried. Believe in absence. Disclosures of interest, we should have put those into Belinda if we've got one. There's no business arising from these minutes. And before I go on to item 7, which is the draft financial statements, I'd like to officially welcome Chair of the ARIC Committee, Peter Ray. Thank you for attending. I know you had an early start this morning. Thanks for attending, Peter. Now I'll hand over to item 7.1, which is the draft financial statements for 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have several recommendations here asking Council to adopt the financial statements for 2021. But before I go through those, I thought I would open it up to the floor. We have obviously Peter Ray here from our audit committee who has just gone through the auditing statements and had a meeting with Brad from Crowe. Brad is our auditing partner from Crowe. He's also on the line. And we also have Red Day, our acting finance manager, on the line, and Bruce here as well from the finance team, who have both run this audit over the past few months. So we thought we would open it up to the floor if you have any questions on the financial statements, while we've got especially Brad and Peter here.
And Councillor McAllister has joined me.
Yeah, and Brad, would you like to just give the councillors a brief overview of the audit? Probably a bit of a snapshot, a bit shorter than what we went through with Eric.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as identified, my name's Brad Bowen, and I am Council's audit partner. We're certainly endorsing the financial statements for signature by Council today. The Audit Office issued a closing report to the General Manager this morning, giving an overview of the outcome of our audit process. But it's really pleasing that we're in a position to issue a clean or unqualified opinion on the basis of what's presented there. We had meetings with council management yesterday and with the ARIC this morning. There's no subsequent events that we're aware of which would stop us from being in a position to sign or stopping council from signing. Council has posted a surplus result for the year in 2021. which is pleasing considering the range of circumstances, and that's on a consolidated basis, taking into account its general fund plus its other funds that are supplementary to council. From an audit perspective, we wanted to recognise the support and work of the finance team, specifically Rendai and up through Sunny. And from our perspective, the financial report is true and fair. It does contain a number of pages, and there's a lot of data to absorb. And I think the next point from my side is I'm back for the next council meeting to formally present the conduct report to council in open forum.
Yeah, it's probably three things that we sort of focused in on this morning. The first being we had to restate the value of Crown land in the prior year, which led to the delays in getting this report to where you are now. Pretty much it comes back to a difference of the opinion between the valuer and the Auditor General, and unfortunately it just created a hell of a lot of work and delay in getting these statements done. Brad, do you want to make some comments about just the stance on that?
Yeah, sure, thank you. So what happens there is council was prudent in its approach and commissioned an external valuer to value both its community land and some Crown land parcels. The valuation approach adopted by the valuer was full market value, using comparative land for that's unencumbered alongside. The perspective of the Auditor General is that those land parcels, Crown land and community land, are actually not available immediately available for sale. So hence there's a discounting process to recognise the fact that those land parcels are held for community purposes, for a longer strategic purpose, not immediately available for sale. And hence why you might start with the market value, which is what the valuer did. The value adopted would be something lower than that. So the choice taken was that those land parcels did exist, and the same land parcels existed back at the opening date of these financial statements, which was 1 July 2019. And so we put it through as an opening prior period adjustment on 1 July 2019 and restated those balances. You can see that in the statement of changes in equity. It's the very top line, and then there's an explanatory note down the back of the statements in section G that expands on that in more detail. But you're right, it's a philosophical argument about what is fair value, using a highest and best use approach. And the Auditor Generals and most councils across the state, or all councils across the state, adopted discounting across their Crown land and community lands.
That's all.
Thanks, Brad. I probably support OLG's thinking on the revaluation, but why wasn't this picked up last year when we've signed off on the figures last year, when the valuations were clear and precise there?
Yes, so fair point, and that's why it was determined that it related to something that existed in the prior year, so we pushed it back as a prior period error. I think we're getting more aware of the different valuation approaches that are existing. The Audit Office commissioned some work across the different valuers that councils use in the state, and it was through that process identified that there was a difference in philosophy that APV were using, which is council's valuer versus a range of other valuers. Hence, then we looped back around on where APV had touched previously, and Edward River was on that listing.
Probably the other two things, and they're sort of related. The council stance around not recognising the assets of the Rural Fire Service has been raised by the auditor as a risk area, which is fine. It's not been included in the financial statements, the assets, nor the depreciation relating to the assets, and that's probably the pertinent point. So one of the issues that the area committee have got is overall, and the statements are an overall position of the council, finances are good, but internally, the general fund is dragging the chain, as opposed to the water fund and the sewage fund. Now, once, if it's deemed that we're going to start bringing in depreciation of rural fire service assets, that will general fund. which will again put further pressure on there. So that's probably the single issue that the area committee have got about the council's finances, is about the performance of the general fund. And we will be talking to the council about that next meeting. But overall, from where the finances sit, the results are good. Probably the only watch is the performance of the general fund.
And through Mr. Mayor, the audit committee has moved the motion, carried resolution that draws attention to all council. So I'll see that at the next meeting.
So I'm hearing it right, Peter, that the rural fire service assets are all going to become council, where we don't have any choice in what is chosen.
We're not quite at that stage.
I can see it's heading that way.
It's getting closer to the top of the pile and getting resolved. So I actually said this is a positive thing. It's being raised as a high risk asset, but if the stance of this council and several other councils are, they're not our assets. It's sort of coming to an end. So I don't see it as a black mark at all. I actually see it as a positive move that it's become a high risk item. Last year it was an item, and because it's a repeat item, it's now moved up to priorities. And as I think Norm McAllister said, we had the same argument with MIL regarding the roads and the culverts. So it's very much similar on similar lines.
McAllister.
Just further to what Peter was saying, I think I'm sure that the council is aware that we are part of a bit of an action that Graham Bradley is playing out with a few other councils in New South Wales that they have actually put together much the same as what we did with that CATS group against Murray Irrigation and Tully and Murrumbidgee bridges and culverts, but there's a group of councils there. They've got legal advice and accounting advice and very good advice that's saying that essentially it's the same. If you don't control it, you don't own it. And I think council has never sort of taken these assets on board ever. And I don't think now is the time to sort of do a backflip, because I think, you know, Graham's tirade is actually making some ripples in the whole system, and I think we should wait and see where those ripples end up before we change our stance.
Renee, did you want to give your overview now?
Yes. So thank you. If we turn to page 7, that's where I'll start looking at the graphs. The financial result for the year ending 2021, we have a net operating result of 4.9 compared to a restated figure of 11 million in the previous year. The positive change of 15.9 million is mainly due to the revaluation that we were just talking about. So if you look at the graph there, it was down 11 million and now up 4.9. If we take the same result and we exclude the revaluations, the second graph of net operating will show that last year would be 6.1 compared to still 4.9 of this year. The main reason for the dip there is a decrease in user fees and operating grants during the 2 years. If we look at the same results by fund, we find that the net operating results with grants, general fund is on 2.5 and 8.08 for water and 1.4 for sewer. Again, if we take the same result and we take off revaluation decrements, we see that the water and the sewer funds decrease a little bit. As we know, the correct figure or the right figure to look at is to, fit for purpose is to exclude capital grants. If we do that analysis on a figure before capital grants, the surplus is 0.6 million compared to 19 million last year. Again, the same reason for that is the revaluation decrements. I've done the same analysis, excluding revals. You can see that negative 2 million from last year against the same 600K. Also did the same analysis to exclude before capital grants. You can see the changes there. As we have been talking, general fund dips to 1.7. That's what we are saying we need to address in the future so that we don't have that 1.7 dip. See if what we can have other sources of income or reduce expenditure somewhat. Moving on to the balance sheet, we can see that our balance sheet dipped a bit because of that 10 million revaluation decrement, and of that general fund dipped by 10 million, and water and sewer, the total assets are almost the same. No differences there. So what I am recommending is for the councillors and through the mayor to, there are 5 recommendations there to adopt these financial statements, which are consisting of general purpose financial statements, special purpose financial statements, and special schedules. Also to approve the signing of the statement by councillors and management in accordance with the Act, to delegate to the general manager the power to submit the financial statements to OLG and to ASB, and also to approval to exhibit these financial statements for 28 days, and the closing period of that publication will be on the 26th of November. And thereafter, we will have the audited results presented at an ordinary council meeting, to which Brad said you will be present on the 2nd of December. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor McGrath.
I'm having to move the recommendation.
Can I just ask, left field, what's the impact on the general, your general funds under pressure? If this went forward, which it hasn't yet, what would be the impact?
RFS. Basically depreciation, which is your building.
It will be a 300K depreciation additional on the general fund.
Still get that ballpark figure in so everyone's got a concept of how much the impact's going.
The other thing about your general fund is you've seen no interest this year because of rates. So
what's that?
Yeah, you know, bank interest. So if that picks up, that will help you.
Just one other point, Mr. Mayor, the couple of pages got the correct date on it, but all the pages are in the business.
Move, we've got a second. Councillor Fogarty, any further questions or comments to the people that are there? All right. Those for? Yes. Carry. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
Bye.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Would someone like to move that we move into confidential counsel to do it? Second by Councillor Metcalfe, all those in favour, against, carried. We'll wait to switch on. Stream, so do the right. And we're back in general council after we've been in confidential council. I'd like to read the recommendation for item 8.1, sewer lining program. Recommendation is that council, one, accepts the tender submitted by Interflow Proprietary Limited and award Interflow the contract C 2021-13 sewer lining program for 2021-22 with the extended schedule of rates tender price of 369,000 plus GST. Item 2 is that authorise the general manager and the mayor to sign and affix the common seal of the Ewood River Council to the contract documentation. Item 3, delegate the contract superintendent to approve variations up to a maximum of 10% of the contract value to allow for any issues that might arise. Well, that completes the meeting, and I'll like to close and thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Right, just